I knew that was an old intro. um, Hi there. Good evening. Good morning. It is yours truly. It's Big Papa for this one. That's all you're getting. Gigantic news dropped that I think I wanted to discuss because I've been calling this for years. What's up to everybody in the chat? Just want to say hi to Cecil, who has to be gone by now. Felix, Robert, Dale, Tom, Marks, Monsters, and Mad Men movie reviews. What's up? Yeah, so so AMC and Universal got in a bit of a meow, a bitch fest. And I'm telling you, this is something that I've spoken about this before. You can go back and watch older posts. I did a video titled "Why Halloween's Coming," or "Halloween's coming out in 2020, and here's why." Something to that nature. And what do you know it? By accident, that video will come to fruition. Um, so I'll give you the old story, which is this. This is from November. I don't know if you could see it. I don't know how to do this above my head there. It's highlighted November 16th, 2018. Hollywood may want to brace itself for another epic fight. At least two major studios, Warner Brothers and Universal, are expected to ignite discussions about early video on demand sources tell Variety. A move that could lead to protracted standoff with theater chains like AMC. So, yeah, and it goes on to talk about the greatness that is cinema and blah 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 blah. As we sit here today, with some of the country slowly peeking out from behind the caves, there are still chains like AMC not open. So first of all, let me load the other story, which is where are you? This one. Yep. It moved. It moved there. Now you have a little bit of a car ad for you, in case you somehow think you want to buy a Hyundai Genesis G70. Tell them show business sent you. So this dropped a couple of hours ago. AMC bans Universal movies from its theaters after studio throws rock at theatrical window. AMC is banning Universal movies after the studio declared it will continue releasing first-run movies on VOD even after theaters reopen. Hey, you can't do that. So an update since this story has first posted. Universal has released a following statement in response to AMC's letter. Our goal in releasing Trolls World Tour and PVOD was to deliver entertainment to people who are sheltering at home, while movie theaters and other forms of entertainment, other forms of outside entertainment are unavailable. Based on the enthusiastic response to the film, we believe we made the right move. In fact, given the choice of not releasing Trolls World Tour, which would not have only prevented consumers from experiencing the movie, but also negatively impacted our partners and employees, the decision was clear. Our desire has always been to efficiently deliver entertainment to as wide an audience as possible. We absolutely believe in the theatrical experience and have made no statement to the contrary. As we stated earlier, going forward, we expect to release future films directly to theaters as well as on PVOD when that distribution outlet makes sense. We look forward to having additional private conversations with our exhibition partners, but are disappointed by their seemingly coordinated attempts from AMC and NATO to confuse our position and our actions. So, again, I'll read this earlier bit. Blarp. Universal Pictures PVOD experiment in Trolls World Tour turned out to be so lucrative that the studio announced Tuesday it would begin releasing first-run movies on demand as well as in theaters. Release the numbers, you bastards! I want something to report. AMC theaters took that as the first shot in the war. Dude, you're not even in the battle right now. The country's largest theater chain will no longer play any Universal films in its 1,000 cinemas worldwide. If studios want to break the long-standing theatrical window system, AMC's demanding a seat at the table. CEO Adam Aaron wrote in a letter. I'm trying to remember what is this? I clicked on something. I am trying to remember what it sounded like when Blockbuster went boom. But again, this story isn't new. This fight isn't new. It's just incredibly awful a situation for somebody like AMC, and an incredibly lucrative situation for somebody like Universal. And I mean, when you think about all the stuff that's getting, what you're hearing is a bunch of studios pushing back, delaying. All of Sony has just basically erased itself from the 2020 slate for the near future. I think Disney did that as well, and Disney of all people best be playing ball with that shit, because at this stage, they got that leash around the theater's necks. But the big glaring thing, and I have its picture barely under me, is Tenet, which is brought to you by Warner Brothers, has not been pushed. Tenet, which has a July release date, has not been pushed. There's been no talk of Tenet, and that is a Warner Brothers movie. And let's go back to this story. The films that got pushed out on VOD the second theaters went down: Birds of Prey, The Way Back, The Invisible Man, The Hunt, Emma, Trolls World Tour, premiered day and date. Those were all Warner Brothers and Universal. Tenet is Warner Brothers. So for as much as you could say, holy shit, Universal, that's kind of a big deal. If Warner's gonna take somebody's side in this, I think it's going to be Universal's, and there might be enough of a fight there where we might see the beginning of, well, not the end, but the beginning of theaters becoming a heck of a lot less relevant. At Disney got that being who needs AMC when my uncle get me that VOD day one? They said Trolls made $97 million. Where'd you get that fact, Ben? What the fuck? Yeah, no, I would love to have some of the uh, the VOD numbers. Box Office Mojo is finally reporting, films have been opening in theaters again, and I don't know, something I've never heard of won the weekend with like $6,000. God bless. I'd rather watch movies in theaters, and that was what Universal was saying. Universal was saying, hey, listen, you can watch it in the theater. 100 million in the first 3 days for Trolls. All right, so that might be that 97. The issue that AMC's taking, Universal was trying to do the polite thing and say, all right, so we don't want to take the theater experience away from people, but if you want to watch our shit in your living room and pay $20 for it, we want you to do that. It's an experience that everybody can exploit, and I think anybody, especially when it comes to children's movies, would kind of lean on the side of Universal here, because kids movies are a pain in the ass to experience at the theater. As an ex-employee, they're a pain in the ass to clean up after. They're a pain in the ass to experience in every way, shape, and form. But we're getting to a point where I think companies like AMC know, if enough people find out about this, they're in this weird blockbuster in the year 2006 kind of thing where deer in headlights, our lives are going to come flashing before our eyes. Again, I'm not saying that AMC is outright going to fall apart. Movie theaters are going to outright fall apart, but they will become more of a thing, more of a, I mean, shit, there's still places where you can go roller skate if you wanted to for the night. Those were a big deal in the 70s. Drive-in movie theaters used to be a big deal. They're kind of much more scarce. Arcades in the 80s, that was something that was a big deal. They're more scarce. I think the experience of going to the movies as a staple, as we once know it, up until now, I think that experience is forever damaged, regardless of whatever else happens moving forward, because of this trial. Universal, again, I'll put it up again. No, not you. Universal and Warner have been talking about this for years. Their thing has always been, okay, that's great, but can we try? And they weren't even talking about day and date. They wanted a sooner window, and it all goes back to Disney. Disney releasing at least one movie a month just destroys and sucks all the wind out of everything else in the theaters. And you'd think that the answer to that would be, well, these theaters have 20 screens, so there shouldn't be a problem. But that doesn't answer the problem, because Disney requires that if you're going to show Marvel Man 2000 Part 6, you've got to show it on 6 screens. And that kind of handcuffs the theaters, and they do it. And then you have stuff like these movies that they're just doomed not to have a chance, because their screen time, they're competing with with way less space. And that's why Universal and Warner was just kind of like, yeah, no, yeah, we'll let you have the first couple of weeks, but this 90-day bullshit, we wanna, you know, maybe a month. How about after a month after something gets released to cinemas, we get to go straight to VOD? Because if you notice now, they kind of started doing something similar for a little bit already. You can buy something, or you can rent or buy, ouch, on VOD early, and then like a couple weeks later you can buy the physical copy, or if it's a rental, then you can buy it on digital. I don't think if you have an Alamo draft house near you, no phones are talking, they are super strict. Yeah, what I think is, I think something like that. I think, the chain theater experience it won't be the same. I think Alamo Drafthouse is a hell of a brilliant point to make. They're like a specialized theater where you can get a drink. Every now and again they'll get like special old releases, and I mean, the last time I was at an Alamo show was for Hateful Eight, and they had, you got stuff with it. It was neat. It was like a Broadway show. You got souvenirs, and it was a bit more of an experience. And as Suburban Cowboy has said, they won't let you use your phones, which is good. I mean, that's kind of the case for a bunch of reasons. Last thing they want is people bringing their phone out for multiple reasons. But again, what AMC is doing, icing out Universal for the remainder of the schedule. I don't have. I know the big Universal release is in October. So that means no Fast and Furious, which was already pushed back. Who knows? Are they reshooting? I think they're reshooting for that. All right. Let's see. Let's see. We'll put you back on. Halloween Kills in theaters October 16th. Candyman in theaters September 25th. Trolls World Tour in theaters now. I don't know. So here's one. Wait, untitled Universal event film. That's weird. It's an event, but you haven't titled it. So here's the big data circle, because this is still before Tenet would have a release date. And Purge isn't that big a deal. It makes money. I mean, obviously, it makes enough to warrant them making more. But if they VOD that and do well, they might just say, "All right, we're all set. We understand. We can't play in your theaters." I think AMC perhaps is they're bluffing like they have a certain hand, and the other player is much stronger than they are anticipating. I blame Trump. Now every business is petty like him. Our theater's open Friday. Yeah, but what's showing in them? It's stuff that's 9 months old. So it'll be interesting. The problem is NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners. They went as far back as 2 weeks ago. NATO cautioned studios against shortening the movie release window, pointing to a study showed reduced potential revenues for the studios. Like the National Association of Theater Owners is really out and concerned about the revenues for these studios. Ernst & Young study commissioned by NATO is titled "The Relationship Between Home Release Window Length and Movie Sales." The study found that increasing the length of the release window and the length of the theatrical run has a statistically significant, I'll do that one more time for you, has a statistically significant impact on theatrical revenue and home revenue. The study found that a movie which had a theatrical run of 100 days and released on DVD digital after 108 days would bring in $1.75. 1.75 million more in revenues than an identical film with a theatrical run of 100 days, but a home release window of 98 days. The study calculated that at 67%, the total effect comes from box office sales and the remainder from home sales. Yeah, I'd like to be in on that panel. 100 days. Are we 100 days into 2020? 100 days is a horrible number to use, especially in today's day and age with everything being so fast. 100. See, this is why me doing the slapdash and not having anybody to bounce this off of is Oh wait, Siri. How many days into 2020 are we?
I found this on the web.
I don't want you to find it on the web. April 29th is which day of the year?
It's Wednesday, April 29th, 2020.
Yes, I said that. What is the 100th day of the year?
Here's what I found from Wikipedia.org.
April 10th.
April 10th is the...
Okay, so that essentially means that, like, Bad Boys would just be leaving theaters now? And is anybody talking about Bad Boys? I mean, all right, or on April 10th. Well, all right, so April 3rd. How many people were talking about Star Wars? That's a shitty thing. That 100 days thing, that may have been the thing in the 1900s. It may have been the thing pre VOD. That may be a VHS thing. 100 days is not the. I would almost cut that in half. A movie's got by today's standards, a movie's got like 2 weeks to make its money, and then it lingers for a couple of weeks. By 2 months, you're on to it's about relevancy too. After 100 days, and then you say, hey, we're on a home media. So if your movie didn't do shit in the theater, people aren't going to be fired up anyway. So the argument from the other side is, well, fuck it. We're competing against, Toy Story 4, fucking Avengers Endgame, this, that, the other thing. We're not going to make a dent anyway. Just let us go straight through. And you guys can keep your 9 screens of Endgame and your 5 screens of Toy Story 4. Day 119. Thank you, Ben. See, Warner's being greedy. Just wait until it's safe coming out of the movie theaters, because cutting out the movie theaters is going to cause them to go under. Well, Bad Boys did just come on a video. Yeah, right. That's the original plan. So that's why you'll notice that like The Hunt isn't on Blu-ray. Has Invisible Man come out? That was February. There is still this date, this thing that they have an agreement on, where they can't release to physical. I think it's either 80 or 90 days. They can't release to physical. And I think something else comes along with that. Amongst those being a certain amount of time on screen, a certain amount of money made at the theater. There's a bunch to this, but the issue here is AMC, they were talking about filing for bankruptcy a week ago. You better hope Disney buys your ass out and makes everything all right, because this really feels, it feels, I mean, you have, I don't know what their deal is, because Disney has, no, excuse me, AMC has their thing where you can rent from them. Hold on, wait a minute. You can rent VOD from AMC, right? Are they even going to offer Trolls on here? Yeah, you can rent. You can rent. And it's hard to find those Universal movies. Oh, there's one. Invisible Man. Yo, they're not even showing Trolls. All right. All right. Somebody's got it a little hard. Okay, so it doesn't make sense why AMC would make a stink, because it's the roles are flipped. AMC is able to rent Trolls through their service. You can, if you have an AMC card or A-list or anything like that, and you want to watch Trolls, you can do so through the AMC app, and AMC gets their tiny piece of the pie. And I guess they weren't happy with the way things were going, and it's kind of ironic. So again, the two companies that have been just not giving a shit have been Warner Brothers and Universal. And the movie underneath my face here is Tenet. I don't think the entire country is going to be open in the way that we know things, the way we know and love things. in time for Tenet to properly make its true money. Yes, Ben. Yes. Most of their money is made in concession. As a matter of fact, 90% of theaters' monies are made at the concession. So it's the biggest secret that everybody has kind of found out is finding out about now. Oh, I don't need that building with the $10 popcorn to experience my brand new movie. And it's been this great big secret for a while, and Universal and Warner have been kind of smart to it, especially since Disney's just been just greedy, like monthly releasing something huge. I think this is an issue. I think it's something that they're both sides are going to hold pat on for a little bit, because there's no rush. There's no rush for theaters to open. Universal is in the position of power right now. Why would they cower? And if Warner Brothers throws their hat into the ring, and it ends up being Universal and Warner against NATO, National Association of Theater Owners. I feel like I have to say that every time I bring up NATO. Then we could see something, an alternate service or something. But 97 million on home media. I promise you, I absolutely promise. Actually, those stats I think I can get right. What are you? What are you that I'm looking at? I'm looking at 2020 films. Okay, so Trolls came out in November. Oh, you can't see that shit. Okay, all right. Opening 46 million for the original Trolls. The total domestic 153, and at home it made 97. Ladies and gentlemen, a new era is upon us. There's no other way to put it. And good for you, Universal, even though you guys are just total jerks when it comes to anything that has to do with your movies. And you guys are greedy when it comes to YouTube. Do you believe in Flea? Huh? So that's that. We've been taking it easy with the show businesses, and here something big drops on what was a Tuesday night anyway. So this is typical show business fashion. Stay tuned if something else works out regarding this interesting case. I will certainly, at some point, one of us, all of us, will all be back together. But other than that, we're just gonna play everything by ear, because there may not be theaters to talk about. We'll just be talking about straight releases to whatever. Alrighty. Thank you for joining me so late. Such a late show. Have a evening, everybody.